The business that I used here as an example, this was a business I was working with yesterday, and so we still have all these examples set up. This is a paper shredding company. They do all sorts of residential, data, electronics, record storage, mobile shredding. I went over to my Chat GPT, and again, this can happen in Claude, this can happen in Gemini, this can happen in Cowork, and I created a folder, which here it's called a project. I hit new project. I gave it a name, and I did one specific thing that I do want you all to know about. The settings button right here, there's a default and a project only. What this means, default means that the context of this folder can go and reference anything else inside of your tool. When I set it as project only, which is what I've set Paper Tiger's folder to be, it means that only the content that's in this folder will be referenced. So when I have another folder over here called jokes, it's not going to cross-reference and get those two things confused. This is an example of saying, here's the tool shed and here's the bathroom. Things don't cross between these two rooms. So I made Paper Tiger's folder. I called it a general assistant. And what we have is chat number one. Again, don't forget, I used voice to dictate all of this. I hit this little microphone button. I said, all right, you're going to be my general assistant for processing emails, call transcripts, and prospecting new customers and making any marketing materials I need. So what I need you to do is to go to my website and build me an overview and outline of my business, Paper Tiger, and I need you to write instructions for what you should be doing as my general office assistant. Please create a document that I can upload to the back of this project folder here at my website. It thought for 4 minutes and 12 seconds. There's another reason why I don't do this live. When it was done thinking, it produced this document. And we're going to look at this right now. Here we go. In 4 minutes and 12 seconds, we now have a business overview and general assistant operating instructions. We have our executive snapshot of our business, core offerings, service areas, primary buyers, proof points, calls to action. We have our business overview, services and customer segments, key customer groups, likely buying triggers, positioning and messaging. Then we get into the general assistant's mission, its purpose, and its responsibilities. Your role is to make Paper Tiger more organized, more consistent in communication follow-up, prospecting, and marketing execution. Act like an internal office and marketing assistant who protects the brand, keeps details accurate, reduces response time, and turns raw information into usable outputs. Process inbound, outbound communications, review call transcripts, prospect new customers, create marketing materials, maintain messaging consistency. Do this, do not do that. Do this, do not do that. Standard workflows for processing email, call transcript, processing, marketing materials. This is nuts, right? All I said was go figure out how to be a good assistant to my business. And this is what I'm talking about when I say use AI to make it better. Give it the initiative and the authority to go build its own job description. It felt like more than 5 pages, but we're at 5 pages. So I took this document, it's saved into my downloads folder, and I went back to the project folder and over here in this sources tab. And once again, you're going to see this very similar setup, regardless of the tool you're using. I went over to sources and I uploaded that set of instructions. And now, anytime I interact with this chat thread, it's going to reference that set of instructions. Let's go take a look at that jokes folder I made. Guess what? It says the same thing. The instructions for the joke folder, come on. Respond with a complete knock-knock joke every time, no matter what I say. Every response must be a full knock-knock joke, start to finish. The assistant is never allowed to say anything else. Every response must follow this structure. Hey, knock knock, who's there? Olive. Olive who? Olive, you, and I miss you. You know what? I experienced this yesterday. I can't seem to actually chat with ChatGPT when I'm recording for some reason. What's 2 plus 2? Why was 2 plus 2 so confident? Because it knew it was 4. Those rules that I've given the folder are now its constraint, its context, its instructions, it's its Bible, it's its whole source of truth. I've trimmed down the infinite capability to purposefully what it is I want it to do. So let's go back to Paper Tiger. Let's put it to use. So we did that chat one, which was creating the overview and the plan and the instructions. And let's look at my very first request. So I used a different AI tool. I used Gemini. I had Gemini, knowing that we were going to go through this exercise. I had Gemini write me an inbound lead email that was a customer saying, I need your services, I need your help. And I asked Gemini to write it in a way that was really hard to write, really hard to read, because it was just one big run-on sentence, something we've seen before, right? Whether this was an inbound lead or an employee, internal communication, or a customer, you just get some massive string of text that you are likely to put off processing your own self, because you look at it and you're like, I will read this later. This is a lot. Well, we have an assistant here. So again, I used voice. I hit that microphone button. I said, okay, I just got this really jumbled up email from a prospect, inbound lead. Can you just read this and let me know simply what they need? And can you write a very brief response that I can send back to them? I copied and pasted that entire email. And within a few seconds, it says, here's what John's actually asking for. So does Paper Tiger do pickup? Do staples need to be removed? Da 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 da. And here's the reply. Hi, John. Thanks for reaching out. We can certainly help with old box files. We do offer pickup services. Top off for pricing. The next step is to get an idea of how many boxes you need in your location. Then we can provide you a quote. I was able to, within, I'm going to guess in a real scenario like this, go from receive email, have that subconscious reality decision that says, I'm going to do this later. I'm going to put this off. I'll come back to this in 10 minutes, in 10 hours, in 10 days. Shit, I might forget about it at that point, all because I didn't want to deal with it. And now, because I have my assistant trained up, John's going to get a response in no time. And when you apply that concept to, I maybe put something off, I maybe didn't do something, that can account for real productivity, real business growth, real decisions that need to be made that now can get made in a fraction of a second, because you have an assistant who understands your business, has a clear set of instructions for what to do, and you're able to get from where you are to where you need to be that much faster. Now, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to hit the copy button. I'm going to open Outlook. I'm going to paste it. And I'm probably going to spend, on this email, I'm probably going to spend all of 60 seconds fine tuning it. There are 100% times when I take this response as is, copy and paste it, and hit send. That's a muscle. That's like stretching that muscle over and over again. I've gotten my system so fine tuned to understand how I write my business that 80% of the time, 80% of the time, the email is basically good to go. And in those other times, there are certainly scenarios I will have ChatGPT process, send me an email, a long message. I might still go and have to spend 25 fine tuning that email. 25 minutes might be exaggerating. I've likely still spent less time getting that email out the door than if I had started it from scratch. So, all right, that was email. Now let's move over to prospecting. So this is a real scenario. All of these are real people. Some of you may know some of these people. So again, I'm acting as the business owner for Paper Tiger here. I said, okay, I have a couple of network connections, people in my network that I would like to run a quick analysis to see if they would be good prospects for me. I'm going to give you 5 names and companies. I need you to figure out on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great prospects, that they're good for me, my business, and why. Name, business type. In 16 seconds, I know that Laura List of List and Lamar scores a 9 out of 10 as a good prospect. John Burke, H&B Realty, 8 out of 10. I, Kathy Blank, the WDG agency, 7 out of 10. So this was interesting and I had picked these specific people on purpose. I know that we're working with a paper shredding company. I know that Laura List is an attorney. So I'm assuming that she's got plenty of paper, of which a decent amount of it could be shredded. I also know that Kathy Kane Blank is a digital marketing agency. The chance of her having paper compared to an attorney is probably way lower. Now, I would have thought that a digital marketing agency would have gotten lower than a 7 out of 10. However, I did not train this project folder on how it should judge rating these prospects. If I went into that back end and uploaded a new document that said, hey, you need to think critically about the service I'm offering. And when you think about on a scale of 1 to 10, think about the fact that they're a business that doesn't have a lot of paper. Giving it, because again, it has this infinite capability of things it can do. It's kind of bringing all of that thought process into here. And so by me giving it more constraints, I can get this score to be way better reflective and accurate of reality. A personal example of how I've used this before, same scenario. I will give my folder a potential prospects or a potential customer's website URL, and I would have the tool go and run a basic marketing analysis on their company. And I had ChatGPT create a marketing analysis checklist. And so then when I put that template into the back of the project, it knows to use that template as its source of truth for when it goes and reviews these websites. And so all I have to do is give a URL and I get back basically a really high level rough sketch marketing plan, marketing analysis. So then when I go and see that person at an event later today, I already know like what's the state and the condition of their external facing marketing assets and capabilities. And I can go into that conversation now drastically more equipped. So that is our 3 ways of how I'm recommending you to use these tools to advance your own selves and your own businesses. I would love to open it up for any questions right now.
Justin, I have a question.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on deploying this mobily? Like, I know you can get ChatGPT on your iPhone or whatever, but in terms of, say, guys in the field or something where um, I know it's a little different because it's cut and paste for emails. They're not necessarily sending emails, but any applications or mobile considerations that would change kind of how you might use some of these tools?
Oh yeah. You should 100% have the app on your phone. I use the desktop app and the mobile app. I very rarely actually use the browser app. I use it in these situations because it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier. They are the same thing. When you have it on your phone and you're looking at it in the browser on the desktop, if you ask a question, when I made this interactive tool, I was in the kitchen making coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning, had the idea, asked it to create it, came back, was over at my desk 10 minutes later, and it was done and it was ready. And so just like you would think about email on your phone and email in the browser, it's the same thing. And so, yes, you need to have these tools on your phone and you need to get in the habit of finding random ways to be using these tools when you're out and about and on the go, because the more you use the tools, the more you're going to find new ways to use the tools. Let's see, Daisy. Yes, I'm going to send the recording out here. James, in terms of AI, to use AI to improve, when I'm deep in a project, I like to ask it, what assumptions have you made about this project that you and I haven't specifically discussed? For sure. So James sent a message to everyone. It's asking, that case, he's asking the tool to think critically about all of the conversations that it's been having in that moment. A
That
fun,
I find
go
it
ahead.
like if you're still having hallucinations or you're still like seeing repeated mistakes, you're not sure why, it's a good way to uncover all of them. Like I was doing some like data analysis with like a trading project I'm doing, and it listed out like 8 assumptions it made, and 4 of them were correct and 4 of them were completely wrong. But like I wouldn't have known what it was basing its wrong assumptions on had I not explicitly asked it. So that's all.
Totally. Yeah. I have found so when new updates get released to the models, if you're using the tool a lot, you'll likely feel a shift when a new model comes out. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, ChatGPT released an update, and all of a sudden, anything I said, I got back a dissertation. I could ask 2 plus 2, and it was like a 17-page novel about how it contrived that 2 and 2 made 4. And it took me a couple days. It actually took somebody telling me a tip. So just tell the tool, hey, chill out, stop overloading me with this information. And as soon as I started doing that, it figured out that you're right. Justin's right. He doesn't need to know all of this. So it's almost in that same concept that James was saying of like having the tool, like self-reflect and think about it. And where I'm really trying to go is I also noticed that, and we've probably all heard this before, specifically referencing ChatGPT often will give me what it is I'm asking for. It's often going to be, it's going to play nice. It's going to please me. For example, the 7 out of 10 on that, on the lead score there. If I go back and said, hey, you need to think more critically about this and quit giving me the answers that I want to hear, it's going to get back in its corner and put itself in place and realize that it needs to do a better job. And so asking it to think about its blind spots is a real easy way to put it back in check. Walter.
I think a related question to that is one of my peeves with ChatGPT is it's such a fucking brown noser, pardon my French. You know, every question, wow, Walter, that's a great question. Yes, you are exactly doing the right next thing. Is there a way to tone that down and tell it to chill out and be more matter of fact?
Totally. So there's 3 ways. One, as I just said, just be straight and frank
Mm-hmm.
in that chat thread. 2, these on the back end of these projects, these folders, giving it more instructions.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna add more instructions. I'm just gonna give it some text input here and say, rules, don't be nice. Say it like it is. Be short and sweet. It now has that as context. And when it's gonna go, if I were to go ask it to do something right now, you would see it saying reviewing sources. It's going and looking every time. And then the third way, the global, is I haven't updated these in a long time. Personalization. So this is now covering the macro global view. Should use ClearDirect. I got these, like I found these online somewhere, right? So I copied and pasted them. Don't avoid this, avoid that, avoid this. Don't use these words. Back to one of the tips here, use AI to improve AI. You don't have to come up with it. You don't have to do anything yourself to, right? The question that you just asked me, you should ask ChatGPT, and when it inevitably gives you the answers that I gave you, have it write the rules that you are then going to give to it.